If you're picking sides in this new war, you've already fallen for the bait. This has all been planned out already. Let me briefly introduce you to Albert Pike. He was a 33rd degree Freemason. He was an American author, poet, orator, editor, lawyer, jurist, and Confederate States Army general. He was heavily involved in American politics back during the Civil War era. And why is he relevant? Well, let's just say he had a vision in 1871 and he wrote a letter about the three world wars. It won't teach you this in history. On August 15, 1871, in a letter addressed to Mazzini, Albert Pike perfectly articulated how the first two world wars would unfold. Then when we skip to the Third World War, we read, "The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur," that's another word for agents, "of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world, both sides bought and paid for. The war must be conducted in such a way that the Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, State of Israel, must mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion." Divide and conquer, because this war matters to all the other nations politically, specifically the Western nations and the United States. Especially when we send tens of billions of dollars a year, believing that we're fulfilling the Genesis verse where God says to Abraham, "I will bless those who bless you." We continue, "We shall unleash the nihilists and atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere, the citizens, obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in the public view." So the whole point of this letter is Albert Pike is addressing how the Illuminati brings about the New World Order. If we continue on, it says this manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement from which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. If you can have the masses killing each other over this war, I mean, you already see the protests on the street getting violent, but if you can have the masses killing each other over this war, they're more controllable. You can reduce the world population. Now, both sides are funded from the same source. All wars are banker wars. The bankers profit, the bankers win. Blowback, how Israel went from helping create Hamas to bombing it. Because what they do is they create all these agents that go up against each other so they can start a new war, because that's how they profit. Of course, God is pleased with none of this, neither Zionism nor those who have been paid by the same source seeking to destroy it. Numbers 35, "Don't pollute the land in which you live. Murder pollutes the land. The land can't be cleaned up of the blood of the murderer except through the blood of the murderer. Don't desecrate the land in which you live. I live here too. I, God, live in the same neighborhood with the people of Israel." So you can't be God's people and killing and oppressing people. You also can't really expect there to be a ceasefire. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 3 says, "For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." You see the UN and all these Western nations calling for peace and safety, right? And we know that the UN and the Western nations are also agentors of the Illuminati, so they're just putting on a good show for us. The world is a stage. They're advancing their satanic agenda. Get real, folks. Wake up. I mean, I'll tell you, even George W. Bush, after the whole 9/11 thing went down, he was like, "You're either with the terrorists or you're with us," And it's just so stupid because it's a false dichotomy, They're creating these false dichotomies to set us against each other, and it's working really well.